Chloe had heard many cautionary tales about trying to keep a very broad fence between her personal life and her career. As a federal agent, things tended to get very sticky when the two worlds collided. But honestly, she had been living with a constant collision of those two worlds ever since she had graduated from the academy, thanks to her father's mental cat-and-mouse games. She knew she spent far too much time speculating on her father and what he may or may not have done to her mother nearly 18 years ago. Thanks to Danielle's discovery of her mother's journal, Chloe had been living the past few weeks in a haze of confusion. She now felt fairly confident that their father had killed their mother all those years ago. She had given him every benefit of the doubt up to this point, going so far as to try pinning her mother's murder on a scapegoat, Ruth Ann Carwile. But now she had it written in her mother's handwriting. Now she had more than enough evidence to truly feel her father was not only a killer, but that he had killed her mother. It had hit her quite hard. While Chloe had done her best not to let it affect her work, it had consumed almost every free moment she had. She'd spent the first 2 weekends after the discovery dodging calls from everyone, from Danielle, from her partner, Agent Rhodes, and from her father. All I have to do is make it public, she thought to herself, time and time again. Just go public. Take it to the bureau and take him down. Wrap up this sordid chapter of my life and put the bastard back behind bars. But that was risky. It could affect her own career. And more than that, there was the little girl still defiant inside of her, a younger version of herself who insisted maybe there was something she was missing, that there was no way her father was really a murderer. It was an internal fight that had her going into work with a hangover a few times. It had been just 20 days since she'd made the discovery in the journal. And even at work, though she remained professional and did not let her own personal demons interfere with her job, entries from the journal would pop up in her head. He strangled me tonight, and he slapped me in the face. Before I knew what had happened, he pushed me against the wall and strangled me. He said if I ever disrespected him again, he'd kill me. He said he had something better lined up, some better woman, and some better life. The journal was on her coffee table. She left it there, so she would always be reminded, and so she could not give herself the convenience of having it out of her sight. She kept it there as a reminder that she had been a fool, and that her father had been pulling the wool over her eyes for a very long time. It was 20 days in, almost 3 whole weeks since she and Danielle had finally come together to the conclusion that their father had killed their mother, when Chloe considered just going to his apartment and killing him. It was a Saturday. She'd started drinking at 11 that morning, staring out of her apartment window as DC traffic trickled by beneath her. She knew enough about how the system worked to make it look like a suicide. Or if nothing else, she knew how to hide her tracks well. She could make sure he died without having anything traced back to her. She had thought it out quite carefully. She had the stirring of a plan in her head, most of which was solid. But that's lunacy, isn't it? She asked herself. But then she thought of how thoroughly he'd had her fooled. She remembered how loyal she had been to him, even when Danielle had tried warning her that their father was not the man she thought. And when all of that weighed on her brain, no, the idea of killing him did not seem so drastic after all. She was daydreaming of pulling the trigger on her father and starting on her 3rd beer of the day, when a gentle knock sounded on her door. She cringed. Her father had come by 4 times in the past 20 days, but she had always stayed quiet on the other side. This knock was different, though. The heartbeat-like drumming pattern from the intro to Closer by 9 Inch Nails, one of Danielle's favorite songs. It was the telltale knock they had agreed upon, so that Chloe would know it was her sister on the other side of the door. With a weary smile, Chloe answered the door. Danielle was waiting on the other side, in mid-beat. She lowered her hands and offered her sister a smile. It felt weird. Danielle was usually the gloomy one that Chloe tried to cheer up. It had been that way for most of their lives, especially ever since Danielle had discovered what absolute jerks boys can be.